It's 2020, and at this point, this year has just been one big meme. Life actually feels like one long-ass South Park episode, and it's only July. At this point, I don't think anything can happen that will shock me. I read a wild headline these days, and it's just like, okay, seems about 2020. However, one of the bright spots of 2020 has been my boy, Randy Orton, wilding out again like it's the mid-2000s. Randy Orton is back on his bullshit, and you guys know me, I love Randy Orton. 2005, Randy Orton, as I've said many times before, is my hero. So seeing Randy go back to being a psycho and RKO Beth, having a banger match with Edge, punting him, seeing him clap Christian the night after, and now being aligned with Flair once again, just brings a tear to my eye. Randy has done it all in this business. Main events at WrestleMania, all the titles you can think of, kissed Stephanie McMahon in front of Triple H. This man punted Cena's dad. Trust me, he's done it all. Yet there's one night that 16 years later still stands above the rest. It wasn't a WrestleMania main event, it wasn't for the world title. Hell, this match is before the classics with Christian, before his feud with The Undertaker, before the 9,000 matches with John Cena, before the legendary Vines. This was the night that Randy Orton became a made man. In 2003, young Randy Orton was doing his thing. He was 23 years old in a faction alongside Triple H, Ric Flair, and Batista, Evolution. It was clear that this guy was going to be somebody, third generation superstar. He had the look, the natural talent, he had it all. Pretty boy Randy was in the cut, and even though most of his time was spent making sure his boss Triple H stayed champion, his side hustle was legit. Randy Orton was slowly becoming the legend killer. It all started June 23rd, 2003, Madison Square Garden. Mick Foley was in the ring being celebrated by the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon, RVD, and Tommy Dreamer, to name a few. He was awarded the Hardcore Championship and just given a little goodbye as he went away for his book tour. See, before this little celebration though, Randy Orton was seen reading the book. And I don't know what the fuck Randy Orton read, but GG, cause this started it all. So Mick was backstage, he got his goodbye, he had his belt, and Flair and Orton walk by, and Flair for some reason begins attacking Foley. Now Foley held his own, but once Randy got involved, it was a wrap. Orton just went off, destroying Foley, bashing his head everywhere, until he got Foley to the staircase. So Foley lay there helpless, and Randy Orton grabbed him and threw him into the wall, and then punted him down the stairs. Yeah, so the first ever punt kick. Randy looked down like the biggest G ever. Foley's a mess, he's a total write-off, and ladies and gentlemen, the legend killer was born. And yo, over the next few months, it was over. Like a hooker with herpes, nobody was safe. Randy began his Legend Killer tour, and this tour wasn't getting cancelled by no pandemic. Fabulous Moolah clapped. Shawn Michaels clapped. Sergeant Slaughter, of course he got clapped. He was like 60 years old. He was even the man who ended Stone Cold Steve Austin's general manager career. Orton was doing his thing and making his name. He had got rid of Austin, beat many legends, but then Foley entered back into his life. See, Randy got rid of Austin, but since Austin was gone, they needed a new co-general manager of Raw. And of course, they brought back the former commissioner, Mick Foley, and the first thing he did was announce that in an upcoming match between Orton and RVD for the IC title, he was going to be the special guest referee. Now, Mick is a nice guy. He went there and he caught it right down the middle, and Orton became the IC champion, and Mick was the one who counted the 1, 2, 3. Randy though, he didn't care. He thought he killed the legend of Foley. He didn't want to see that Santa Claus looking ass ever again, so what does he do? The next night on Raw, he got himself into a match. Foley versus Orton, IC title. If Foley loses, he's fired. If Orton loses, Eric Bischoff is fired. All the marbles, so many stipulations. Foley's first match since 2000, and Orton vowed that he was going to go out there and destroy Foley again and end his career for good. So both men were in the ring. It's the main event of Raw. It was going to go down, but Foley just walked out. He couldn't do it. He couldn't take on Orton. He walked out to the ring and just left. He took his ball and he went home. Like literally, he packed his bags and was about to leave the arena. With tears in his eyes, Foley was leaving the WWE. Legends don't walk away. Mick Foley, you're not a legend, you're a coward. And then Randy spits in the man's face. The thickest spit I've seen in my life, to be honest. And Foley just takes it. He doesn't say a word and just walks away. Mick Foley was gone, Randy Orton prevailed, and Randy spent the next month in January of 2004 just doing his thing. No Foley, no problems. Fast forward to the 2004 Royal Rumble. So Orton enters at number 2 and he puts in work. He keeps on surviving and surviving. Wrestlers come in, wrestlers get eliminated, but Orton finds a way to stay alive. 19 spots later, he was still there, still hanging on, and it was time for the 21st entrant. And the music of Test hits. But Test didn't walk out. And then backstage, all you see is Test is on the floor. Austin is yelling at someone, "You just took out the 21st entrant." So it was time for a redo. It's time for a new 21st entrant. So Orton's still in the ring, he's chilling, living his best life, and all you hear is Mick Foley's music, and Foley runs to the ring with a vengeance. He goes in there and lays the smackdown on Randy Orton, and yo, he's possessed. He doesn't care about winning, he's just trying to teach that little bitch a lesson. So Foley does a flying clothesline over the top rope, takes out him and Orton, and I guess Foley got his swagger back because all you see is bang bang. And then the Foley chants erupted, and it was on. Mick Foley was back and Foley wanted all the smoke. But every week on Raw he would come out and just get banged in by Evolution. But it's fine, Mr. Foley tried his best, okay? He tried standing up for himself. Didn't really matter because it was 3-on-1, but hey, Foley tried. After like 5 episodes of Mick Foley just getting his ass beat, finally someone came back to help him, and it was his old friend, The Rock. The Rock came back 2 weeks before Mania and told Foley he had his back. So at WrestleMania, it was a Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution in a 3-on-2 handicap match, and the match was fun. The crowd was alive. You got Ric Flair and The Rock in one match in Madison Square Garden. You added Mick Foley, and it was lit. But sadly, the match ended with an RKO on Foley and the 1, 2, 3. Kicked downstairs, spat in the face, getting beat up almost every week, and now losing at MSG at WrestleMania. Randy Orton always prevailed. All Foley wanted to do was teach Orton something about respect, but the old man just couldn't get it done. The future was now, old man. And Mick Foley had been getting embarrassed for months, and Randy Orton had this banger quote. Mick Foley, in the year 2000, sure, you might have been the hardcore legend, but tonight, you're just Randy Orton's bitch. WrestleMania was done, The Rock went back to Hollywood, Foley lost fair and square, 1, 2, 3, it was just Randy's time. Foley was washed up and finished. But that's Foley. Foley might have been the one who got kicked down the stairs at MSG. Foley might have been the one who got spit all over his face, thrown through tables, RKO'd every week, lost in the middle of the ring at MSG. But there was one man who, if anything, would probably enjoy that. Who enjoys getting destroyed. Who enjoys the violence. When all else fails, just like in 2000, when Triple H week in and week out embarrassed mankind, made him a joke and fired him, treated him like shit. There's only one man who would hold it down for Foley. And now in 2004, 4 years later, there's only one man fit for this job. Enter Cactus Jack. No more fun and games, no more haha, it's fat old Foley running around trying to teach Randy Orton a lesson. Nah, it was on. It was Cactus Jack, back from the dead, back from the abyss, the deranged, the crazy, the insane, the lunatic, the man who would do anything and everything with no remorse for his body or his opponents. Randy Orton was different now. Randy Orton wasn't the same cocky, arrogant piece of shit as before. Now he was shook, and ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Foley was gonna go out swinging. He wanted one more match with Orton. No rules, no disqualification, no interferences, just one-on-one. Randy Orton, the future of the business. The next one up, the pretty boy, the man who had been bullying this man for months, against Cactus Jack. What the hell was Randy going to do? This guy was soft. He's just another guy, you know, he can wrestle a little bit, he's a pretty boy, but he isn't about this life. What does he know about hardcore? What does he know about barbed wire, about that violence? What was he gonna do to Cactus Jack? Was he gonna bring a gun? Because at that point, I don't even know if a gun is gonna help. It's like that old Eminem line.
Better get rid of that 9, it ain't gonna help. What good's it gonna do against the man that strangles himself?
But it was on. Randy accepted. Backlash 2004, Cactus Jack versus Randy Orton. Almost a year of Foley being embarrassed, beaten down, and just destroyed. It was time for the last battle, where something was finally going to give. And this was going to be the biggest match of Randy Orton's career. He had been doing his thing, IC champion, improving every night, but now it was time for him to step up and prove to the world that he is who he thinks he is. Prove to the people backstage that they should believe the hype, that we should believe the hype. Show us something. Cause up until now, sure, he had a great first 2 years, but show us how elite you are, Randy Orton. Show us what separates you from everyone else. Show us why you belong. And for Foley, this was his redemption. This was his chance for glory one more night. His first match in 4 years was at WrestleMania 20, and it was fun for what it was, but it wasn't that classic Foley. It wasn't anything to write home about. Foley wanted better. The fans wanted better. He wanted to go back to Royal Rumble Foley, to 97, to Deathmatch Foley in Japan. Mick Foley just wanted to show the world who he is once again. It was perfect. You got the long build, you got the youngster who's never been in this type of match before, and then you got the veteran who lives and breathes for these type of matches. You got Cactus Jack versus Randy Orton. The Evolution music plays, the pyro falls down, Randy Orton has that cocky look on his face. He had a shirt on just in case. He came out with a trash can and more weapons. He had his own barbed wire 2x4. It looked like Randy Orton was ready. And then Cactus Jack came out with Barbie. So Cactus Jack has a barbed wire baseball bat and Randy Orton has a barbed wire 2x4. The bat is called Barbie, so I guess we'll call Randy Orton's toy a Bratz doll. So Jack had that sick smile and it was on. Sadly though for Randy Orton, his Bratz doll broke and GG. So Foley goes in there like a madman and Orton is running for his life, and at this very moment Randy Orton knew he fucked up. Run, Randy, run! So Randy's running for his life, but he outsmarts him. He gets a drop toe hold on Cactus Jack, and Jack goes straight into the steel steps. And now it was Randy's time to shine and be a savage. Trash can shots to the head, but the issue was it's Cactus Jack. If anything, the more CTE he gets, the more powerful he gets. So Randy just starts running again. He runs all the way up to the ramp. He catches Cactus Jack coming up and he's out here dropping suplexes on the ramp. He even grabs Jack by the head and just bashes it into the ramp, and there was a sickening sound. But once they head back into the ring, Cactus gets back on the advantage and he has a very difficult choice to make: Mr. Socko or Barbie. Literally the hardest choice of his life. And the sick freak of course goes for Barbie. He runs at Randy Orton and bang, right into Randy's face. And ladies and gentlemen, Niagara Falls of blood began pouring out of Randy Orton. Jack just wilds out doing all his vintage moves and he's making it rain on Orton. And poor Orton was just catching it. And Cactus... oh, Cactus, you know, Barbie wasn't enough. He wanted to do so much more. He wanted to give Barbie a makeover. So this man went outside under the ring and grabbed some gasoline, and he was about to tweak. He pours it all over Barbie. He's going to light Barbie on fire. But out comes Eric Bischoff saying, okay, wait a minute, hold up. Please, no, don't do this. If you set Barbie on fire, we're gonna have to call the fire department. Cactus, who obviously doesn't want the show to be cancelled, is like, okay, and then instead he uses a cookie sheet to clap Orton. Mind you, Randy Orton at this point is a mess. Like, it's bad. Cactus gets a wooden board wrapped around in barbed wire and brings it to the ring, and this is where Orton really steps up. So they're standing, they're brawling, and someone is going to go down on their barbed wire. So Foley's punching Orton, trying to get him to the wire, and Orton counters by throwing powder in his face. Mr. Fuji would be so proud. And then Randy does a power slam to Jack onto the board wrapped in barbed wire, and the crowd just lets out a huge gasp. Jack is screaming in pain, and now it's Orton's time to shine. And he finally does go savage mode. He sends Jack into the board and Cactus is bleeding from his arm, and it's a very, very nasty cut. And at this very moment is where Randy Orton became one of my favorite wrestlers ever. So Randy goes into his little weapon stash and Randy Orton pulls out thumbtacks. Yes, Orton is the one who brings them out, not Foley. As a kid, when I saw this, I was like, alright, this is it. This guy's one of my favorites. I love this man. So he's pouring thumbtacks everywhere. The crowd is going nuts and everyone knows what's about to happen. Randy Orton is about to RKO Cactus Jack on the thumbtacks. He's getting ready. He's going, it's time, RKO, and bang. Simply iconic. Cactus Jack pushes him off, and this visual will always be stuck in my brain for the rest of my life. 24-year-old Randy Orton screaming in pain, blood all over his face, thumbtacks all over his back. What a bump. This Reddit comment describes it perfectly. When the match was announced, everyone thought it was a given that Mick was going to take all the big and hardcore bumps. When he first came out wearing a shirt, he as in Randy Orton, and the tags came out, me and a lot of others online who was watching live thought, oh okay, maybe Orton might take a thumbtack bump, but he's obviously wearing a gimmick shirt to protect him. When he took that shirt off, then it was back to no, Mick is definitely taking those thumbtacks, and then holy shit, this match and specifically taking that bump made Orton. This one bump made Randy legit. It was legendary. Randy made his name because of that one bump. He showed the world what he was made of, who he was, and how special he was. This was a kid going one-on-one with Cactus Jack, bleeding, taking all the bumps, and he was doing damage too. They both had the crowd in the palm of their hands. Welcome to the show, kid. And just when you thought it couldn't get wilder, Randy is out here pulling the thumbtacks from his body. He's leaving, he's going home, he's had enough, but Cactus follows him up and they're on top of the ramp once again. And as New Jack said, bombs away! GG, Randy Orton goes flying off the ramp onto some tables. Trainers come in and Randy is dead. It's a wrap. Thank you for coming. The refs are like, sorry Mick, this match is over, go home, goodbye. But you think Cactus Jack is gonna let Randy off like that? Cactus Jack, the wild man, runs for his life, jumps off the ramp and does a flying elbow onto Randy Orton. What a scene, what a visual, what a moment. And he goes for the cover. 1, 2, no, Randy Orton somehow still kicked out. Randy is somehow still alive. He's somehow fighting. He gets dragged back into the ring and Cactus is going to finish this. In the ring, DDT, another cover. 1, 2, no, Randy kicked out again. Even Jack was kind of like, okay, this kid is much tougher than I ever thought he was. Orton rolls out, he's breathing, he's alive. He comes back in and Barbie to the face, and now Cactus Jack is busted wide open. Randy is just going off with the bat, just non-stop to the back. But Jack, even though he had just been clapped by Barbie, he doesn't care. If anything, he loves it because he's on the ground just casually putting on Mr. Socko. So Randy doesn't see anything. Cactus is on the floor. He gets up. Randy's about to attack and boom, the claw is in. Mr. Socko, that dirty, nasty, stinky sock is in Randy's mouth. And Randy, he's fading. He's fighting. He's going down. He's trying his best to come back. What does he do? What can he do? A low blow. But Cactus no sells it and another claw. The sock is back in Randy's mouth. It's over. What is Randy gonna do? And then just when you least expected it, RKO. Randy Orton out of nowhere with the RKO. It's over. Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home. 1, 2, again. No. Now Cactus Jack kicked out of the RKO. Just look at this scene. Look at the blood, the thumbtacks, the barbed wire. There's socks in the ring. There's bats. It's a mess. It's insane. You have this old veteran who's seen it all and done it all, having one of the best matches of his career. Then you have this 24-year-old youngster who's new to the game, just having a match that I don't think he ever thought he was ever gonna have. It was wild. So both men are getting up slowly and slowly. And what could they possibly do now? What is there left to do? Well, Randy Orton measures him, slowly gets up, and an RKO on Barbie on a barbed wire bat straight to the face. RKO. Randy gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton survived Cactus Jack. And as Jerry Lawler said, the legend killer lives. Classic. Legendary, iconic, beautiful, everything, every adjective I can possibly think of. Amazing. This was just unbelievable. Randy Orton, just like Triple H, Rock, and so many more from back in the day, got his career made that night by the legendary Mick Foley. One of the most unselfish men in wrestling history, Randy Orton became Randy Orton on this night, the most important match of his career. Just like how Triple H became the Game in 2000 after his war with Foley, the same thing happened here. He got that badge of honor. He got that seal of approval. This was the match that made Randy Orton. After this, in 4 months, he would go on to become World heavyweight champion. But after this match, the rest was history. And for Foley, he got it. He got his comeback. He got that epic match that he wanted, and he made another career. He added another name to that list. And here are Randy and Foley's thoughts about this match 16 years later. Mick Foley this year called it the best match of his career. We can say what we think is his best match, but if Mick considers this his best match, who are we to judge? And Randy, that is probably my favorite and the most impactful match of my career. Still have the thumbtacks. Thank you, Mick. I love it. I'll never forget watching this live. It blew my mind, and even though Randy Orton was a heel, this match made me an Orton fan for life. So I'll never forget watching this match, and I know for a fact that Randy Orton will never forget the night he met Cactus Jack.